The ICEBLADE sorcerer shall rule the world. The episode begins with a group of soldiers gathered around a grave as a funeral is going on. They mourn the loss of their comrade, and we see a boy named Ray who goes on to recall a few scenes from the war where a man named Howard is seen telling him that he is gonna have to live on. Howard is the man who is in the grave all of them are gathered around. We see how Howard explodes in front of Ray and Ray is covered in blood. Ray also sees a blonde girl lying on the ground and she is pooled in blood too. Ray then goes on to let out a loud scream and there is snow all around, and as we look on, the snow turns into a dome that spreads all over the battlefield. As Ray does that, the other comrades look on and they are amazed. The dome then disappears and we see Ray carrying the girl's body. The scene then changes and we are taken to normal world where we see Ray enrolling into a school where they teach sorcery. As Ray enters the gate, a girl comes running and runs into Ray. However, Ray catches her before she falls. Ray says sorry to her as he is the one who was standing in the middle of the road. Ray then goes on to tell her that he is a new student and they have already heard about the new student. This new student is rumored to be neither rich nor from a sorcerer's family, so they understand that Ray is that rumored guy. This is when everyone's behavior toward him changes and the other students start discriminating against him. A boy named Albert comes. Ray introduces himself and tries to shake hands with Albert, but Albert just shoves his hand away and tells him that Ray does not belong there, adding that this place is only for aristocrats or someone who is born in a sorcerer family. Ray is about to leave, but Albert stops him. He gets physical and Ray dodges his attack. Albert gets pissed and is about to attack Ray when he is stopped by a girl, a red-haired girl. Albert says that he will never accept Ray and leaves, and then the red-haired girl comes to him and introduces herself as Amelia Rose. Amelia is nice to Ray and she goes on to congratulate Ray for getting admission into the school despite being an ordinary, and Ray thanks her for being the first person at this school who is nice to him. This academy is called the Arnold Academy, and the ceremony of welcoming the newcomers gets started. The principal of the academy goes on to introduce herself to the students as Abby Garnett. The principal tells everyone to work hard to become the best version of themselves, and after that, Amelia Rose, the representative of the first-year students, comes to the stage and addresses the newcomers, telling them that they are going to face a lot of hardships there, but it's going to be worth it. Ray is then seen in the class where he introduces himself to everyone. He is welcomed by some students while the others go on to question how on earth did he manage to get into this academy as he is a commoner. The teacher named Helena Grady then comes forward and tells Ray to get back on his seat. Amelia is again very nice to Ray, much to the shock of her other classmates. Amelia Rose is a girl who belongs to one of the 3 top families at the academy, and that is why everyone is shocked, because it is hard for them to see such a high-class girl being nice to a commoner. Ray then sits in the window, and as he looks outside, he again starts thinking about the war. Miss Helena throws a chalk at him, but he grabs it between his finger before it hits him. The chalk, however, explodes and Ray's face is covered in white. Helena did it because Ray was not paying attention to the lecture. She then goes on to tell Amelia Rose to tell the other students about the different ranks of sorcerers. Amelia says, there are 5 ranks. The lowest one is bronze, then silver, then gold, then platinum, and then the top ranked, which is also called the holy rank, grand. The teacher then goes on to tell the students that there are 7 grand sorcerer at one time, and they are the top sorcerers in the whole world. The teacher also goes on to tell the students that the identity of these sorcerers is usually not known to anyone. Only a few of them have revealed their identity thus far. The first one is Abby Garnett, the principal of this academy. She has immense firepower and is known as the Burning Sorcerer. Aside from her, the next known Grand Sorcerer is called Carol Caroline, and this sorcerer is also famous among people as the Charming Sorcerer. She happens to be a good sorcery researcher, and that has helped her make quite a name for herself. The third Grand Sorcerer that people know about is known as the ICEBLADE Sorcerer, and she made a name herself in the East War but disappeared after the war came to an end. The teacher tells her students that in this academy, if they work hard, any one of them could take place of one of these 7 sorcerers. Albert is also in the class and he goes on to ask the teacher why did the academy accept an ordinary like Ray, and the teacher gets pissed at this stupid question. She goes on to tell him that everyone sitting here came because they have passed a trial and an interview. The teacher then tells Amelia to explain what sorcery is, and Amelia explains that sorcery is a technique to reconstruct the world's first material, also called prima materia. The teacher tells the students that sorcery is actually a code theory, and to learn this, you must turn prima materia into code, edit the code, and then you add or remove the information, and the last step is to materialize the code. The teacher then goes on to say that the things you create could also be removed. Upon being asked, the teacher goes on to explain that there is no limit to things that can be created using prima materia. The only limit you have is your own ability. The teacher tells the students that there are 4 types of materials that can be created: solid, gas, liquid, and plasma. One of the students goes on to ask if they can use anti-material code to remove what they have created, but the teacher says that as of right now, there is actually no sorcerer who has the ability to use anti-material code. The teacher then tells the students to do some practice, and the students try to create different things through sorcery. Amelia is able to make a rose of ice with ease. All the students are impressed by her talent and appreciate her work. We then see Ray, who is barely able to produce a cube of ice, and that also disappears right away. The students again make fun of him, wondering how on earth did this guy manage to get admission in the academy. Albert is also annoyed by the fact that someone with no skills in sorcery is in their academy. When the class is over, Ray makes his way to the library where he sees one of his classmates. She is a girl wearing a coat, and Ray asks her if she is looking for Ainsworth's book in the library. The girl goes on to introduce herself to Ray as Eliza Griffith. Eliza then goes on to tell Ray that she is the biggest fan of Ainsworth. She says that her goal is to become a doctor just like Ainsworth. Ray also tells her that he too happens to be his fan, and she is happy to hear that. She says that it is really exciting to talk to someone who too happens to be Ainsworth's fan. Ray then asks Eliza why is she always wearing a hoodie, adding that she has a really beautiful ear. She then tells him that it is not her hair she is worried about, but her ears, her pointy ears. Ray goes on to ask her if she is half-elf. Eliza then tells him that she is half-elf on her mother's side, and she has always been bullied about being a half-elf. Ray, however, tells her that she looks beautiful and that she should not be hiding her face at all. Eliza then says that Ray seems like a mature guy. Upon hearing this, Ray gets sad as he remembers how Howard used to say the same thing, as he too once told Ray that he was too mature for his age. Ray then makes his way to the dormitory, and when he gets to his room, he sees a boy named Evie Armstrong. When Ray comes forward, Evie approaches him and draws his hand out. Both of them shake hand nicely until Evie starts squeezing Ray's hand. Both of them are really strong, and the next thing we see, the two are standing with their shirts off, marveling at how nice their bodies are. The scene then changes to the next morning, where we see Ray jogging as he passes a girl flowering plants. Ray goes to the girl and makes small talk. He introduces himself, and the girl is really impressed by the fact that he is up so early to work out. The girl then goes on to introduce herself as Rebecca Bradley, adding that she is from 3rd year. The next thing we see, Ray is on his way to the class and Evie is also with him. Ray goes on to tell him about the girl he met during the morning jog, and Evie goes on to educate Ray on how things work in the Sorcerer Academy. He goes on to tell him that there are 3 main and strong families in the Sorcerer Society. They are Rose, Bradley, and Algren. He goes on to say that Amelia happens to be the eldest of the Rose family. When Ray is walking in the hallway, a student comes running and bumps into him. Ray right away goes on to apologize to the girl, and when the girl sees him, she goes on to say that he must be the rumored ordinary. Ray is however still nice to her, and the girl feels bad for being mean to him. The girl goes on to tell him that she is Clarice Cleveland. Ray says that he is sorry, but he does not really know about a sorcerer family called Cleveland, and the girl goes on to tell him that he might not know about her family, but it is well known in the society. Ray then senses the girl getting a little offended and goes on to lighten the mood by saying that her family must be full of pretty girls since she is so pretty, and this causes Clarice to start blushing and she goes away. Ray then runs into the principal of the school and goes on to salute her right away. She however tells him that she is retired already, so Ray does not really need to salute her, and then even goes on to tell Ray to just call her Abby. Ray then starts calling her Abby and she laughs at this, telling Ray that he is a lot like Howard. They then go on to talk about some things in the past, and she shows Ray a photo in which there's her whole team and Ray is also in the photo, but he is a little kid. Ray then makes his way to the class, and that day, his class is swordsmanship. To put the icing on the cake, Ray is paired with Albert. The two start to spar, while the other students make fun of Ray, which Amelia does not like. As the two spar, Albert is pissed as he says that a weak sorcerer like Ray should not be allowed to spar with him. Ray then goes on to teach him a lesson. He is more skillful than him, and when Albert moves forward in anger and strikes Ray, he ends up breaking his sword because of the strong defense of Ray. The next thing we see, Albert is on his knees and Ray is the winner. Abby looks on and smiles as she sees a very skillful Ray. She is happy that Ray the ICEBLADE sorcerer is there, and with that, the episode comes to an end. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time with more exciting content. Take care.